Next up, we've got Serhiy Sidey taking on Ramon Taveras, and this is a fun one. When you got Sidey and Taveras, this is a rematch from the Contender Series, guys. And Sidey is the Canadian. He did get the job done in the first matchup, and everybody is expecting he is going to get the job done once again in this fight. But I will just say one thing that was kind of interesting to me was Dana White looked perturbed by that stoppage on Contender Series. It's actually the whole reason I bet Taveras in his second Dana White Contender Series stint. I was like, man, why would Dana bring this guy back if he didn't want to sign him right now? Because, he looked horrified at the stoppage. He looked really mad. He was like, terrible stoppage, like bullshit or something under his breath. And so I had all those screenshots. I had all that stuff stored away in my notes and information. And it just reminded me, if they rebook this fight, obviously people are going to be on the Sidey side. It makes some sense. He's gone out there and TKO'd this guy before, but Dana White didn't agree with the stoppage, right? Probably going to give a little bit of a longer leash in this fight, given how the last one went. And Taveras is not a pushover, right? He's a pretty dangerous guy. He's been finished twice, I believe, in his professional career. 9-2 as a pro. Both his losses are by KO in the first round. Lost to Edward Massey via KO1, and lost to Serhiy Sidey via KO1. And then he went out there and got his own KO1 in his last fight. As for Serhiy Sidey, he does have one loss via decision to Matteo Vogel, one of the other top prospects in Canada around his weight. So I think you can give him a little bit of a pass for that, but he did get systematically out-grappled in that fight. He was submitted on the amateur scene as well. So Ramon Taveras, the problem is for him, he's not a prolific submission artist. He does have 3 wins via submission, all 3 via choke, rear naked chokes over Christopher Wingate 1-0 and Anthony Tisdale 3-13. But he did submit Marc-Andre, former UFC fighter, via guillotine choke in the first round. So seems like Taveras has some ability, on the ground, but most of his fights were in pretty low-level promotions. Combat Night, he's 8-1 in that promotion, and now in the UFC, he's going to be making his debut here, so could be dealing with some jitters. He's going to be making his debut. It's going to be on a pay-per-view card, so that's going to be tough for both guys potentially. And you also have to think that for Sidey, last time out, he went out there and got the first round knockout. That's going to give you some confidence, but it also may make you think like, how can I look better against this guy? It puts a little bit of pressure on you, especially to deliver in front of your home crowd on a pay-per-view, as opposed to in the Contender Series where it's a lot lower stakes in some ways, where it's only 50 people in the crowd, and the matchmakers. So I think that this is a fascinating rebooking, and I do think everybody's going to pile on the Sidey side. But when you're looking at the market on this fight, it's only minus 165 for Sidey. And I do think these are the kind of guys that might end up having to go 3 to figure out who's really the best in this one. Because Taveras is kind of a gunslinger himself, right? He's got a bunch of knockout wins himself. So he's a killer be killed style guy. He wants to go out there and find the knockout. 1-0 career to the decision, but 5-2 career to the knockout, 3-0 career to the submission. Taveras wants to kill or be killed. That's the way that I see it. So for me, should be a fun scrap here. And I expect somebody's probably going to get put down, but we don't always see these fights go the exact same way as a rematch, So we saw this fight once before. It ended really quick. Maybe both these guys are a little bit more tepid, right? Maybe they take this fight a little bit slower, trying not to get knocked out, clipped on the chin. That's only understandable. Self-preservation is human nature after all. So we are 1 hour into the show, and we still got 4 fights to break down. So we'll take a big cheers to that, and we'll wish both those guys the best of luck. But honestly, I don't have the strongest thoughts there. I just think that the line kind of suggests it's a dog or pass situation, because I would think that the Canadian that already has a win via KO1 would be over 2-1. And the fact that he's only minus 165 kind of tells me that, they think this is a super volatile fight. But I do agree with this. Scenarius in the chat, Snaarius, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but if it goes to decision, the crowd will carry. Yeah, I definitely agree. In Canada, would not be surprised to see the crowd go completely bananas for Serhiy Sidey, and maybe that pushes the judges over if the fight does go the distance.